Hello everyone, my name is Zacharistic, and today is my first ever video on my channel. Today I'm going to be making an Apex Legends tier list for pros, not casuals, for pros, for the hardcore gamers of Apex Legends. For people that participate in tournaments, scrims, and participate in the esports scene. Just a little general tier list for legends that I would personally recommend and not recommend using in these types of events, because after the Lost Treasures event came out with all the new patches and balance changes, I kind of feel like I need to get my opinion out there, because like a lot of these tier lists are kind of very stereotypical. Like a lot of these tier lists are kind of just, some legends that are placed in some categories are just there to please the audience, because, well, you gotta please the audience if you want to make your video successful. But no, here at Zacristic Gaming, I'm honest. I'm honest. I put my opinion out there, no matter if people don't like it or not. And yeah, I really hope you guys enjoy this tier list. Again, this is only for pros, for hardcore gamers. So if you don't take the game seriously, or you're just a casual player, you don't really like to get those high kill games, you don't like to get 4K 20 bomb or anything like that, then I just recommend clicking off the video. So I put the tier list in 5 categories. Garbahe are for the legends that are completely useless. Sour are for the legends that have uses in certain departments, but they're just need a little buff in order to make them a little better. The sweet category are legends that are good, but they need to have a buff to just make them amazing. Delicious are legends that are really good and have high potential to be part of the Apex meta. And magnificent are for legends that are part of the meta and are really useful, and I don't see them ever leaving the meta. So we're going to start off in the Garbaje section with Octane. Now, Octane is a very useless legend. His passive, while yes, it does conserve the amount of time to use syringes or medkits, he really is just not that useful. It's just a little side thing. People don't even notice it's active. And his stim, yes, with the new patch where like he's able to run through Caustic's gas and avoid arc stars and stuff like that, it's still not that useful. But I do like his increased speed. It does make him a lot more faster. And his jump pad with the double jump now, it's really fun for casuals, but it's just really useless for pros. But I can definitely see the double jump being used as a tactical power. But honestly, there's nothing really that Octane has going for him to benefit the team. I feel like he really needs a large rework if he's ever gonna even be somewhat in the meta. But yeah, I don't ever see him being in esports and tournaments, and I really do hope that he does get a buff, because he was actually my first ever main in the game, and I don't want to see him just fall so hard from grace. And for the second legend that's I'm going to put in the Garbaje section for pros is Pathfinder. Now, I know Pathfinder is in the comp scene, but you have to remember that his tactical, it's pretty much useless. Okay, you have to wait like 35 seconds once you use it up, which is basically 2 years if you're like in a very intense battle. And the changes they made to ziplines, which does include Pathfinder zipline, you can no longer jump on them, which means that if you're just riding on a zipline, you're basically committing suicide, because the pros and all those other players, they can just shoot laser you while you're just going in a straight line and you just can't do anything. And if you do decide to jump, you'll just jump off the zipline, putting you in an even worse position, or even worse, off the map. And for his passive, yes, his passive is useful. It's very good to, like, see where the next ring is. But you have to think about this tactically. This is a battle royale game. Anything could happen. Some people could already be at that building that you want to be in the second ring. And, like, trust me, anything could happen. Like, honestly, knowing where the other ring is, it's just a little add-on. So you get like, somewhat of an advantage against the enemy. But, honestly, it's a battle royale. Anything could happen. So it's just not really that useful. And after seeing a lot of people use Pathfinder in the comp scene, I could definitely see that the Pathfinder was pretty much useless. He wasn't providing any support for the team at all, and he was just pretty much useless. And not to mention that his hitbox is extremely big. He's basically a mini refrigerator, and he has low profile for some reason, which means that he takes like extra, I think, 5% damage which is really bad for someone that can't grapple away for like 2 years once he uses it. And yeah, he's pretty much Garbahe for the comp scene, and there were actually some leaked animations in the game files that Crypto and Bloodhound were going to get the ability to scan survey beacons. So I guarantee you, as soon as they get that ability, Pathfinder's going to get immediately dropped for either Crypto or Bloodhound, but mainly I think it's Crypto, and I'll get onto that later. Okay, so for the last legend for the Garbahe section is going to be Mirage. Now, Mirage, even though he did get his huge rework, and he is very useful now, but that's really only for the casual side. Like, in ranked, like in normal ranked, like the in-game ranked, yeah, he does have his uses, but he's not exactly that useful. I mean, his tactical, I mean, you don't really bamboozle people that much, but yeah, when you do control it, it does increase the chances that you do actually bamboozle somebody. His passive is very useful. You get to just basically rest people out in the open, and they don't even see you. Especially the respawn thing, where people just can't see you. Yeah, but especially the you revive someone like when they're down and stuff. It's really useful. But his ultimate, since he doesn't go invisible anymore, it's not exactly that useful because all they can do is just shoot down all the decoys until they find the real one. But I'm pretty sure by the time that happens, they'd already be dead because the Mirage would just circle around them with the decoys and himself and just laser him to oblivion, which is honestly how it would go. But in the comp scene, you really need those support characters, and right now, Mirage does not provide any support for the team. I do feel like that he would be a lot more useful if they make it to where he could make decoys of every other legend, because it would basically guarantee that he'd always get a bamboozle, or maybe make it to where, like, when he uses his ultimate, they also make clones of his teammates also. That would be very useful, especially for, like, a lot of legends that are very fast, like Octane, because then it would be impossible to shoot down the decoys, and then in turn, be very difficult to find the real Octane and all the Mirage and stuff. So, yeah, I feel like these legends are, well, uncomfortable in their position in the Garbahe section. I do feel like they do need to be changed, but right now, I just feel like they just need to have those buffs. And I feel like Octane needs to have a huge rework. Mirage is fine. He was just never meant for the comp scene. Pathfinder definitely needs to get some huge buffs if he's ever gonna really truly be a part of the meta. And yeah, so yeah, that's all the legends in the Garbahe section. Now we're gonna move on to the Sour section, and I'm gonna start off with Revenant. Now Revenant, his passive, it's not exactly that useful. I mean, it's kind of useful when you're trying to climb up a high building, but honestly, they need to buff it to where he can climb higher and he can crouch faster. And it just doesn't really, like, his passive doesn't really, like, change the tide of a fight. Yeah, it's good for sneak attacks and stuff, but honestly, his chest piece on his hitbox is pretty big, so it just kind of puts him at a disadvantage. His tactical, I could definitely see that being very useful in the comp scene, because it could just take away people's abilities. It would especially be very useful against Wraith, because then she can't just void off and portal and stuff. But definitely also Gibby, because she can't dome or gun shield or anything like that. And his ultimate, I really do like how, like, in the Lost Treasures patch, they did make it to where he has no range limit with his ultimate. It definitely made him, like, a lot more aggressive and versatile, and I've definitely been seeing a lot more Revenants in ranked, and he's just kind of in a tough spot. I could definitely see him in the comp scene, but he does need those, like, I think he needs, like, 1 or 2 more huge buffs in order to, like, really make pros consider using him in the comp scene. But his tactical and his ultimate, they have potential to be very useful in the comp scene, but he just needs to be more of a support character. But, like, no, well, not really support, but, like, they need to change his ultimate a lot more to where it puts you at a much bigger advantage. And now we're going to move on to the other legend for the Sour tier, and it's going to be Loba. So, Loba, her passive is good. It's good. It's always nice to see what purple and gold stuff are. Her ultimate is really good to, like, see where everything, like, get all the loot and stuff. But her tactical is the thing that really makes her very, how do I say, I don't know, bad. So about her tactical, once you use it, you're basically vulnerable to everyone. You're basically a free kill, because you're basically just standing still, or just walking very slowly while it's teleporting. Now, This is why a lot of people need to be very smart on how to use her teleportation, because you can't just use it while you're in the middle of a fight, while you're fighting someone and you're low on health, because they could just immediately shoot you, and it's really a detriment to her. I do feel like they need to change it to where like you can at least run when she's teleporting, but then again though that would kind of be a bit overpowered, but not really. They definitely don't have to make like they should definitely not make it to where you can use a gun while you're teleporting though, because then that would definitely be a lot more overpowered. But yeah, it was just I just kind of feel like Loba, she definitely has the potential to be in the comp scene. In fact, she kind of shook up the meta a bit in the beginning of Season 5, but of course that stayed the same. Well, not really the same, well, because, like, you know, all the other patches, like, you know, Pathfinder's nerf, and, oh yeah, what can I remember? Oh yeah, Revenant, and, I think Caustic. Oh yeah, Caustic. Yeah, Caustic, yeah, he's very annoying, so, yeah. Just, Loba and Revenant are in a tough spot. I do feel like they just need to have that little buff to make them really useful and very good in the comp scene if they ever want to join it. Now, Bloodhound, I was really considering putting him in the Garbahe section, but he does have that one thing going for him, and that's his tactical, but other than that, he's pretty much a very useless legend. I mean, his passive, nobody ever pays attention to that. His ultimate is very loud, and yeah, it does give you a speed boost. All it does is just really, you know, make you faster and stuff like that, but other than that, it's just kind of um, a bit kind of detrimental to him, but his tactical is always going to be useful. He definitely needs like a couple of huge buffs in order to make him somewhat useful in ranked at least, but I could definitely not see him in the esports or the comp scene. Now we're gonna move on to Bangalore. Now Bangalore, I can definitely not see Bangalore in the esports scene unless they change around her tactical and her ultimate, because her tactical is a huge detriment to the team, because really, honestly, it just blinds every single poor soul that ever just walks into it. I mean, it's good when the enemy walks into it, but the teammates, like, there have been instances to where I've had Bangalore's on my team, and they smoke when I'm in the middle of the fight, and then I just die easily because somehow the enemy sees me through the smoke, and it's just really annoying, and I just kind of feel like that needs to be changed around. Maybe they can make it to where, like, you could see through the smoke if you're a teammate of your Bangalore, and the Bangalore would also be able to do that. But then again, though, that would kind of be a bit overpowered. But then again, the smoke is a very big detriment to the team, and it definitely needs to be changed. And, of course, her passive, it's always going to be useful. It's always good to have, like, that little speed in those gunfights, because, like, you need to have, like, that extra movement speed if you want to, like, dodge all the bullets and have faster reflexes and agility, but her ultimate is unbelievably useless. It does not explode on impact, which makes it to where, like, so many people can just get away from the ultimate. It's basically just a waste. And actually, it's kind of puts you at a disadvantage, because once people see those missiles flying down, not only are you not doing any damage to the team you're already fighting, but it's also giving people your location so they can come in third party, because this game has a very big problem with third parties. And, yeah, I feel like Bangalore is a very good spot in the Sour section. I do feel like she does need to have a lot of buffs. In fact, all these legends that are in the Garbahe and the Sour section, they need to have those buffs in order to be really good. And now we're going to move on to the Sweet section. Now, this may come off as a surprise, but the only legend I'm actually going to put in the Sweet section is going to be Lifeline. Now, Lifeline, I was actually considering putting her in the Sour section as well, because I mean, after they took away her fast heals, she was pretty much just a complete support character, and a lot of people are not happy about that, because, like, the fast heals was, like, the main thing that people were maining Lifeline for. In fact, in some cases, that was the only reason people were maining Lifeline, because when you're in a top gunfight, you need those heals to, you know, heal you up, and you need that speed, so you can get back to the fight quicker and get those kills and damage. But after, like, they replaced that with the Doc Drone healing thing, after that happened, I mean, honestly, it just kind of feels a bit useless. I mean, like, you can drone somebody and heal them up instantly, yes, but honestly, it kind of depends on when you don't have your drone and it's reviving your teammate. It's all really up to you, because once the enemy kills you, they can just come in and finish off the down person. It's not like the drone can do anything about it, so it's just kind of a bit, kind of a bummer, if you know what I mean. It's just, and her ultimate, of course, it's insanely useless, and it just basically tells the entire lobby where you are, and half the time it doesn't even give you the loot that you want, and it's just really bad. I feel like she definitely needs to have a huge, humongous rework if she's ever going to be part of the meta, like she was in season 0, and season 1. And, yeah, I just kind of feel like Lifeline's in a good spot in the sweet section. I feel like she's kind of in a good spot in-game. I definitely feel like Respawn's gonna hold off on the buffs and the nerfs on her, so... Yeah, I just kind of feel like she's in a good spot right now. And, yes, for the Delicious section, we're gonna put Crypto into the Delicious section. Now, Crypto... Now, I know what you guys are gonna say, but hear me out. Crypto is a good legend. The thing about Crypto in the tier list is that he's always ranked down because players have a high chance of misusing him. But the thing about Apex Legends tier list is that you have to judge the legend by their abilities. You can't judge them by the way the player plays them, because at the end of the day, it's the player's choice on how they use the legend itself. But I can definitely see where people are coming from with Crypto being useless, I guess, because the teammates who use Crypto, they use them wrong. They stay back on a really far away building and just EMP while their teammates get killed by a 2v3, which is really sad because I'm actually a Crypto main. I know this might sound a bit biased, but you gotta take my word for it. I know a lot about Apex Legends. I know how Legends are supposed to be balanced. I know how Crypto is supposed to be played. He's supposed to be played as a support/surveillance kind of character. But he can also be used as aggressive, and people just gotta understand that. And, getting onto his abilities, his passive is basically just being able to scan with the drone in the air, but of course that's always very useful if you hide it in a top corner on the roof or something. The surveillance drone itself is very useful because you get to see your enemies from very far distances, and you're able to plan out your next move, get some high ground on them, maybe surprise attack them. And his EMP is extremely useful now that they made it to where it can now destroy Wattson's pylons, because now that Wattson got that nerf, Crypto is now a direct counter against Wattson, so he's definitely going to have a lot of potential to be in the comp scene, because every single live stream or every single tournament I see with a Wattson on any of the teams, all they do is just camp around, and the other teams on the outside can't really do anything but just wait until the zone consumes all the stuff. But either way, Crypto could definitely change, really affect the meta in tournaments and in esports, because he could be able to EMP all the fences and the Wattson pylons and stuff like that. And it would just be really, really, really bad for Wattson. And he's basically just a direct counter. It's just that's really how it goes. But right now, he's not in the comp scene, but he definitely has a lot of potential. I feel like he's in a very balanced state right now, but I do feel like he needs to have one little small buff in order for him to have enough potential to be in the comp scene. Now we're going to move on to the final legend in the delicious category. It is Caustic. Now, Caustic, after he got his buff to where players, his teammates, can now run through his gas and not get slowed down, I've been seeing so many Caustics in ranked, in regular pubs and matches. I've been seeing them in a lot of stuff. In fact, I've actually seen Caustic here and there, some scrims, but of course never in some tournaments or esports. But he definitely has a lot of potential because, people do accidentally walk into his traps, but with Wattson's fences, people just see them through the little windows and the doors, and it just kind of puts her at that little disadvantage. But then again, though, she's part of every single esports team, so that's just kind of a, well, no, not esports team, but every single team composition, if you know what I mean. Just, the Caustic is kind of he's a little bit of a dumbed down version of Wattson, kind of also a little bit of an upgrade of Wattson. He's in a complicated spot, but he's definitely very useful in game, and I've been seeing him a lot in scrims, which could be a sign that he is going to enter into the comp scene. Because especially considering that Crypto is now a direct counter against Wattson. Now that, because with Caustic, if you sit off the traps, the EMP doesn't do anything to them, which is kind of broken in my opinion, and it does a lot of damage, and it slows them down, so... And also, the enemy gets blinded by the gas, so it's really, really detrimental to them. And yeah, I feel like he's in a very good position in the Delicious section. I don't think he needs any buffs. I think, like, he's in a very good spot to where he has massive potential to be in the comp scene. It's just that, yeah, I feel like Wattson needs to get, like, one last to nerf in order to, like, tip the scales in Caustic's favor. Now we're going to move on to the Magnificent section. Of course, this is for, like, all the legends that are, like, meta, all good, all the poster childs, all the golden boys and girls of Apex Legends itself. So we're going to go on to Wattson. Wattson is basically the queen of camping. She's very good at, like, you know, defending an area, very locking it down with her fences, and her interception pylon basically, like, made grenade spam extinct, which is really, really, really useful. And I love what they did to her passive, to where, like, now she can now carry Ultimate Accelerants, like, 2 in 1 inventory slot. Because, like, Ultimate Accelerants was a massive thing for Wattson, because Ultimate Accelerants are the thing that, like, gives her ultimate immediately, especially now that, like, the pylons, they now have a time limit of 90 seconds, but you can place down 3 at a time. I don't see her leaving the meta, I also don't see her leaving tournaments or the comp scene at all. She's just a very good legend overall, and I do feel like Respawn is going to nerf her a bit to just make her a little bit more balanced, but then again, that's up to them. But I feel like Caustic could potentially take her place, but only time will tell. And, yeah, so now we're going to move on to the second best legend, which is Gibby. Now, Gibby, before in Season 0 and Season 1, he was complete Garbahe. But after he got his buffs, he was a pretty useful legend. Like, he has fast heals, fast revive, and his dome, and his gun shield is able to absorb an entire Peacekeeper and Kraber shot. That is overpowered on so many levels. Like, extremely overpowered, okay? He's basically the king of sniper and shotgun fights. And getting back to his dome is always going to be useful, especially when there's, like, a Bangalore or a Gibby airstrike. It's always going to be useful when, like, you're in a tough position, you need to heal, or your teammates are down, you just revive very quickly. And his ultimate is always going to be useful for, like, you know, pushing back enemies and just running away, you know, making them not see where you go, which personally, in my opinion, like, is very useful. And it's just, like, Gibby was actually my past main before I fully mained Crypto permanently. But I can definitely say from a professional standpoint that Gibby is a very useful legend, and I do feel like he does need to get those nerfs. I feel like he needs to get the fast revive, like, completely out of his kit, because I feel like that needs to be exclusive to Lifeline. Because at this point, Lifeline has just turned into a discount version of Gibby, but I mean, like, Gibby is in a very overpowered spot right now, which is pretty bad for the meta. So I definitely feel like he needs to get nerfed in the future before things get really out of hand. And for the final legend, it is the one, the only Wraith. Now, Wraith is always going to be meta. She is always going to be meta. Her Void Walk is unbelievably overpowered. She's just able to go invincible for 6 seconds now. Of course, at the cost of, like, a 2-second timer before, like, she can actually go invisible. But I can definitely see why a lot of race mains are mad about that. But then again, all you gotta do is just, like, time the Void thing, like, 1 second earlier. And then you get not only 6 seconds of invulnerability, but also you get to see people in the Void, and you get a 30% speed boost. And for her passive, I don't think that needs to get changed. It wasn't exactly good at all, but I mean, it is pretty good, like, when you know someone's shooting at you, so you get, like, a little bit of an upper hand on them. And her portal is very useful for, you know, just, like, repositioning and, like, you know, just getting to a better spot than your enemies. And there's not really much to say about Ray. She's just an overall good legend. She's very balanced right now, and I just kind of feel like Wraith is always going to be meta. She's never going to go away. In fact, she was always the top legend, even in Season 0, so yeah. Okay, that's my Apex Legends tier list for pros, not casuals. And I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I will be making a tier list for casuals tomorrow on Saturday. So stay tuned for that. Be sure to subscribe, turn on notifications so you never miss a video. And I'll see you guys next time.